Y'all saw the title, ladies and gentlemen. Is the US basketball team truly ready to win the Olympics? I mean, on paper, the answer is an obvious yes. We have LeBron, Steph, KD, Tatum, Ant-Man, etc. I mean, we've got the deepest roster out of any team by far. But I think the US might be in trouble. Yeah, they won all of their exhibition games, but a lot of those games were close. They only beat Australia by 6, Germany by 4, and South Sudan by 1. I mean, seriously? There used to be a time when we would blow out every single team by 20 plus points. So what exactly is going on? Why aren't we bulldozing and blowing out teams anymore? Well, I think the biggest reason is because of an increase in competition. It's no secret that international basketball players have gotten better and better, while the sport of basketball has grown stronger in more countries. This year, excluding Team USA, there are 61 NBA players playing in the Olympics. Last year, there were 125 foreign NBA players from 40 different countries, making up about a quarter of all the players in the NBA. The last American MVP, James Harden, won it 6 years ago. And here are a few fun facts. The current MVP, Nikola Jokic, is from Serbia. The current Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert, is from France. The Rookie of the Year, Victor Wembanyama, also from France. And then there's great players like SGA, who's from Canada, Luka Doncic, who's from Slovenia, and Giannis, who's from Greece. See the pattern? These are some of the best players in the world, and none of them are from America. This is good for the world and basketball in general, but bad for the US. It's great worldwide because it means basketball has grown so exponentially in other countries that we can now have a diversity of great and talented basketball players who can play the sport just as competitively as Americans have been doing for decades. It makes international basketball games even more fun and more entertaining, and increases the sport's popularity even more than ever. The reason it's bad for Team USA, at least, on the international stage is because us Americans have grown so comfortable with winning. For years, we've dominated in basketball and would always win the Olympics and World Cup. But now these other countries have gotten better, stronger, and have more talent. They're now almost at the same level as the US, and because of that, we still win, but the games are closer, harder, and more competitive. This is why we lost the World Cup last year. We have all this talent, but other countries like Germany, Canada, and Serbia have their own firepower and know how to play better together. In fact, I think Puerto Rico and South Sudan are the only two Olympic teams that don't have any NBA players. That's 2 out of 12 teams in this Olympics. Let that sink in for a moment. Another reason the US might struggle is because other countries have more motivation. The US has always been the pinnacle of basketball, and for that reason, we're always going to have a target on our backs. A great example of this is the game against South Sudan. We almost lost that game, but we were saved at the last second by a foul from Anthony Edwards that the refs didn't call. And that's another thing I wanted to point out. If this was the NBA, South Sudan would have had 2 free throws, but because this is international basketball, the refs aren't as soft and as a result call less fouls. But anyway, the entire game South Sudan was playing great defense and were making clutch shots. We needed a 39-year-old LeBron to bail us out of that game. The other team clearly wanted this game more than we did, and I think the better teams in the Olympics are going to come in with the same mentality that South Sudan had against us. It's the same mentality that you see from teams and players when facing their toughest opponents. The US needs to be aware of this and come back with an even stronger play of game. And that leads to my biggest reason the US might have problems, and that's roster and coaching issues. Despite having a super deep squad, the team seems to have trouble understanding each other. I've seen times in games where there are miscommunications on the court, and other times where players are causing stupid turnovers, and it's making me feel like this team lacks proper chemistry. And then there are players like Joel Embiid, who's constantly flopping and doesn't even look like himself. I don't know why Steve Kerr hasn't started Anthony Davis over Embiid yet. AD gets more rebounds and plays great defensively, and he doesn't flop. He's been a much better player than Embiid, and I'm not sure why Kerr doesn't see that. Kerr's coaching so far has been rather questionable in my opinion. Another example of this is the fact that he's barely played Tyrese Halliburton. Each game, Halliburton has gotten fewer and fewer minutes, and I don't even think he played in the most recent exhibition game, even though he's by far the best passer on the team, and I think he could help prevent a lot of turnovers, which like I said before is a big problem with this team. I also wish he would start Anthony Edwards, one of the top scorers on the team and looks like the most passionate player out there. Maybe this is Kerr's way of not showing much to the other teams. That's the only real potential excuse that I can think of off the top of my head. And I hope that's the case too, because if the US keeps allowing games to get this close, upsets may start to happen and they could fall short of the gold. Do I actually think they'll lose it? No. They're favored to win it, and at the end of the day, that's what will probably happen. All I'm saying is that this team is not perfect and has many flaws, and with other countries looking for the gold medal, America needs to be ready for anything. Anyway, that's all I've got for this video. If you liked it, consider subscribing. It would really mean a lot to me if you did that. Thank you to everybody who made it this far, and I'll see y'all in the next video.